Okay, we'll open the meeting for the Village of North Bennington Board of Trustees for Tuesday, August 8, 2017. We've got a number of moving parts here tonight, so we'll try to approach it as efficiently as we can. Item number 1, review and approve minutes of the July 11 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the July meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain. I wasn't
You
here.
weren't here. 2, review the monthly warrant.
Do you want to do the regular one? The regular one, correct?
Yeah.
I have a couple questions. Bennington Electric, was that something with the fountain?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I figured. I saw you working on that. What's the Vermont Offenders Work Programs?
No.
I don't know.
Road
See that slip?
The,
But usually when they come, it's picking up garbage on Water Street.
Okay, that's a service that we get then,
Yes, but I didn't see it.
corrections and something like that.
I think they did it in the
you
spring.
marked it at 5:30.
Oh, the Vermont Corrections, that slip is, street signs. We bought 2 new slow school signs for Church Street after it gets paved.
And last, Commonwealth of Massachusetts. What are we paying them for?
It's,
Was that a toll?
To go get
Yeah.
our
Gotcha. That was all I had.
I would point out that there's 3
I
$1,000
saw that.
payments on the end.
That was
Those
under
are
my-
repaying bonds, people who pay
For
bonds
jobs.
to dig up stuff. We have only one more that will be paid back next month. And our desire is to, when I asked Norm to make sure that that's done, and then we get it back to our residents
Yep.
before they have to ask for it.
Yep.
You asked my question before I asked it. Answered my question before I asked it.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the warrant for $49,273.86.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Gotta find
Payroll warrant.
that. Payroll warrant, right?
Anybody have any questions about that?
Start signing this one, yes.
I will point out that the part-timers, including Max, in what we had discussed previously on this, is that for these guys, we'll pay them at the end of a month for the previous month, so that we're not guessing what hours are. Because when we did that before, and we just like made up hours, we ended up with a bunch of checks that either were voided or weren't right, or it got kind of hard to keep track of it. So as long as that's still the plan.
Except for.
Except for Max?
Yeah.
You gave, he sent us.
Yes, but I don't know Max's rate. We're gonna talk about that? Okay. But still, that's gonna be after hours are done, right? Or
We'll
is
talk
it?
about that.
Okay.
Any other questions about the warrant? If not,
I'll make a motion, Divine, to approve the payroll warrant for $6,546.18.
Second it?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, citizens' comments. What I want to do, we can delay the DRB discussion for a little bit after this. It's coming up, but do the citizen thing. So George, looks like Martine has something too. Let's do George first and then Martine.
Okay, thank you. Not really, but I have to say it short. I wrote my comments out, so if I don't speak clearly, you can always read what's here. I'm going to read that. And I got these, which are maps down at Waters Park. I'm here to talk to you about Waters Park. This is, if you want to get a picture of that, This is the mock-up of what is all currently in place on the signboard. I'm going to talk to you specifically about the signboard and the work I've done, and say thank you very much for the opportunity. And Norm, get this out of the way. Here are the keys. All right, so I'll talk about this. This is all in place down there on vinyl and aluminum. It should last 12 years or so. And it was laid out by, was it GVH?
Greg Van Houten.
Very good job down there that did that. And it has the 1840 map of the village. You notice Park Street didn't exist. And there was a Methodist church where Dennis's house used to be. I'm sorry, it is now. There was a church there at one time.
We're still preaching.
Yeah, they're still preaching right there, but that's down there. And then it shows the park area as well. I'll pass that around if you haven't seen it, but better yet, I encourage everybody on the board of trustees to go down and look at the park. The work I did on the park, I did because of my neighbor, Jean McWaters, and her deceased husband, Bob McWaters. Bob, I think, had 13 years on this board. And Jean, I don't know how many years she had on the school board. But they were great community people, and I think deserved the name for the park. And also because I think it helps clarify how the park gets used. So I'm going to go through this text for those who don't have it in front of them. And it says, the signboard or kiosk is now completed with graphics and test. This signals an end of my efforts. I thought it was going to be 4 months. It ended up being 4 years before we got it done. The latest addition are the pictures that I passed around to you. And by the way, there were errors on that have been corrected on the final. We went through that. In addition to the 1840 map from the Bennington Museum, I think this was the first street-by-street map that they had of the area. And as you know, that was an area where we'd send the Irish because they couldn't live up on the hill with the other guys. There's a lot of strong national feelings in those days. And then there's an additional picture this is my favorite picture. There's an additional picture I'll pass around. This was the mill that was across the river when we tore the dam down. Why was the dam there? Well, the dam was because there were 2 mills on both sides of the river there. And that's a picture that is also displayed down there. I went and had coffee at Powers Market down there, and they had Ariel Rice had etchings down there, slate etchings. I don't know if you've seen them all. They're really terrific. So I bought one and donated it to the village. And I thought it was a great time to tell the story of when we almost lost our picnic tables to Hurricane Irene. But thanks to Norm, he tied them down, and they didn't float away. So we still have picnic tables in the park. Number point 4, I'm pleased to say that this was a local effort. We had master carpenter and woodworker Ray Molyneux, who's a local North Bennington person, many of you know very well. He built this. Mark can remember going to get the piece of wood, which must have been 1,000 pounds. I don't know how heavy it was, but there were 3 of us who lifted it, took it to the sawmill, and once it got cut up, it wasn't quite as heavy.
Yeah.
But boy, that was something. My back still remembers that. And so, anyway, quite a good thing. And then there were people who donated sawmill time, and there were people who donated the wood from Bennington. So, bottom line, it's all North Bennington people who did this signboard. And it's something not on here, but I also checked with people. They said that the same design that Ray had done for us, he had also done the same design for the nature preserve south of town, so there's some consistency in recreational signage. Now, there is space for more things to go up on the signboard. This is how much space you got left. I'll give that to Norm, and then you can decide who gets it after. But there's space for another picture about the sustainable forest. The sustainable forest is mentioned as one of the attributes of the park. But I got the GVH studios in town to do both the layout, and I could see what they could do with pictures and things. And if you were to do more, I would suggest that you use them. They weren't that expensive. Point 6, money contributions that my wife and I made was about $900 divided between graphics and contributions towards the signboard. And the last point, Norm, those keys, the latch goes clockwise. All right, there's 2 keys there and the latch goes clockwise. So I thank you. I think I've completed what I said I would do. I thought it was going to be 4 months, it was 4 years. I thank you for the opportunity, and I know you had exciting meetings, but I'm going to leave.
George,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to both you and Janice. You guys have done so much from the beginning of that park to the end,
Yeah,
so.
thank you.
Yeah. Tell the kids it's the game of 3 arrows, see if they can find them. All right. That's my favorite picture. Okay, you guys have a nice meeting.
We
tonight.
appreciate it, thank
George,
you.
thank you very much.
Martine,
Can I just ask a question concerning that last piece?
yep.
Was that land purchased by Julia Randall and gifted
No.
to the,
That land was purchased through money raised predominantly by Kevin Jones. He always wanted to see that park, and so that land was purchased from Pembroke, from Dick Pembroke, I think. And then an additional parcel further down was donated by Marty and Gail, which is on the other side of that
so
Julia may have put some money towards that. I really,
I think she did. I just was wondering, maybe that's something that, you know, we might want to thank the people that donated the land.
yeah, I think that's a very good
The
point.
monies together and made that land purchase happen.
That's a very,
Maybe-
well, let's do a research and make sure we know for sure. I think,
Right.
the Fund for North Bennington actually managed that money, I think,
Sure.
until the purchase, so I think it's something we could find out.
Sure.
Good point.
Yeah. Just a thought.
Yep.
You know, it's a lot of work goes into purchasing land. We're doing a land trust.
Those ideas right down here.
Anything. So I'm just here briefly to talk to the village as an FYI about the zombie house on Main Street. I'm 42 Main Street, and I believe the house to the left of us is 40 Main Street. I believe that's right.
Yes.
And it belonged to the Art Simmons, who is now deceased. And it went from one reverse mortgage to a bank, and then that bank bundled it up with some garbage mortgages. And the company that owns it now is in California. And I have that address. for
I've
you back.
spoken to them
Right,
multiple
Right,
times.
right.
And Texas.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. They're all over the country, but the main place, I guess, is in California.
Petaluma.
So, I just want to mention a couple things because I've talked to the fellow that's working for that company, and I've also talked to the insurance agent for the bank that works for that company, just in the last month. So this is just so you folks know what's happening on that property. The new price tag, this might be interesting to everybody, is $65,000. For that whole.
Since when has it actually been a marketable item?
It's been a marketable item since the bank, since this group took it from California. It's bundled in with these bad
Yeah, I know.
mortgages. But I understand from the guy in Rutland who works for this company and comes monthly to mow and.
Remove trees and whatnot.
Right. So he told me that price. He said the price just came down significantly. It's now 65,000.
It's fun, so that's great to hear, because I think there could be some interested parties if they actually knew that. What I was told less than 3 weeks ago by that company was, oh, we just acquired this,
No.
and will determine what to do with that building. We'll either tear it down, and we would not have a choice as a community as to whether they tore it down or sold it.
Okay, maybe that's so, but let me just share with you
Yeah,
what
please.
these two gentlemen shared with me.
Yep.
You may be absolutely right, I just know I know something, you know more, whatever. Maybe it's all true or false, I
Probably all
can't say.
false.
You're gonna have to bear with me because I'm legally blind. So the gentleman that came down from Rutland that works for that company said that the house is a hazmat site. And they initially asked him if he would go in and clean it. And he did a walkthrough, as I did about 2 weeks ago. I got to walk through that house with the insurance agent. And he putted the job. He said, it's a hazmat site, I don't even want to touch it. The house has not been touched since Art left it. It is beyond, it is a fire hazard, we know that. It is now a health hazard, we know that because we know that squirrels and raccoons are coming into the roof. And it's in the middle of a 7-house neighborhood. Right, this little section of town, there are 4 houses on this side of the street, and then there are 3 on that side, including the house on the opposite side of Regine Repair. So, that said, he told me that he does demolition work. He's done it for about a decade up in Rutland. He said normally it would be $50,000 for a hazmat house to be demolished. And they would normally take it over to Cambridge, New York. He said, but then he told me that, he really educated me. And that's the only reason I'm here tonight, is to share this information. He said because the basement is full of asbestos, it now has become, because of the EPA regs, it is now considered a toxic fund site. So it's in a whole different category now. And if the building was going to be demolished, the incinerator for a toxic fund site and the EPA regs is up in Lebanon, New Hampshire. And what they have to do is, a place like TAM, for instance, would have to come with its big trucks and they would have to be lined. And then every piece of the house, all the lead, siding, everything in that house, the plumbing, the everything, would have to go into those containers, go up to Lebanon, New Hampshire. He said, now you're talking $100,000 to $150,000 to demolish the house. We're just talking about the house. The barn is a freestanding, it looks like a stick frame. I don't believe it's beam and, what am I?
Post and beam?
Post and beam, thank you. So then I talked to, the insurance fellow came. He was very interesting. He walked me through the place. I only walked so far because, anyhow, he said that the house was originally insured for $50,000. He said after his walkthrough, he spent about an hour. He took photographs in, out, basement, to the cellar, the entire building. And he said, I can tell you right now, our company will only insure this property for $10,000.
What instigated the insurance agent to come?
Because the bank insures this house for the mortgage company that owns it.
So when it changed hands, the insurance agent had to come and do it with an analysis?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And so, that said, I was told by both of them that because it's sorry, it's hard to read sometimes. Because it's a legal, he said, you know, there could be a legal suit in that the village could go forward and, for instance, the village attorney could keep writing letters saying, you know, you got to deal with this now, and could send a monthly letter. They said that would be get the ball rolling to get the company to do something about the building. But he said the other thing is, because he said it's not fair that any community anywhere in Vermont, and he mentioned that there are many communities throughout Vermont that have houses like this in them. And we see them all over New England. Some communities are able to get them demolished by the companies that actually own them, and they get them demolished through the Preservation Trust of Vermont. I don't know what I don't know how that works particularly, except they said that our village is in a good situation because it's sitting right in a historic preservation area, that building is. And it's possible that the Preservation Trust and that the legal, an attorney could push the envelope to get this taken care of, so to get the building demolished so that there could be a green space for the village. And that's all I have to say about that house. Just trying to.
I appreciate that. You've been very diligent with keeping up with trying to follow these transfers of the property, because it's mine. I've got piles of.
I'm sure.
It's mind-boggling, and then nobody seems to know anything. When I talk to them, this guy said, "Oh, this just came across my desk today."
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Now.
And that's why they suggested maybe we should be going.
Yeah.
I said that. I said it feels like a cat and mouse game, and they said yes, that's how they play it. But that if you have an attorney going after it for a village, on behalf of the village, you have more clout.
Yeah, that was something we were going to talk about tonight, actually, is whether or not we want to go ahead and officially do that. I've been threatening to do that with them for 8 months.
Right.
The thing is,
it's a problem because, I understand it's not, well, obviously I have a special interest since I live next door, but regardless of that, I would think that Redeem Repair would have a special interest since they live next door. And the whole little community of those 7 houses on this side of the village have a special interest because it's right in there, it's right across from Laura Novak's beautiful home. Most of the houses, I'd say really all of them on that little area are in good repair, except for that one building.
one of my great concerns, Martina, is that, Christine Graham who lives here, is one of the principals of the Preservation Trust.
Right.
I have a problem with asking them for money to tear down a house.
Oh, yeah.
When we have a roof that just came off this building.
Right.
I mean, it just came off.
Right.
And water is pouring into the 2nd floor right now.
Right.
If we were going to be seeking money.
It'd be for this. Absolutely.
I think I want to find out if the mortgage holder has determined whether it is a sellable property. Of course they would want to sell it.
Right.
65 is not their bottom number if it's going to cost them 100 to get rid of it.
Right,
they would give it to somebody.
exactly. And if it's only being insured for 10,000 instead of the 50, they want to unload it. They want to get rid of this thing so fast.
Well, you'd think they would,
You,
but
Right.
why, you know,
but,
I don't have a lot of faith in the guy who runs
right,
who does this for multiple mortgage companies, and that's his whole job. In fact, that he knows probably exactly what's going on with the house. Maybe he does.
right. And that's why it was suggested, once again, maybe you want to engage your village attorney.
If you would provide me with the address you have and let me see if it's the same one.
Yeah.
Is that a Petaluma, California? Does that sound right?
I think that's right.
But
But I will give you that address and I'll give you the phone contact number I have. I
Okay.
forgot to bring it tonight. I'm sorry. I just-
anybody else, the board, wanna?
So on the other end, I've actually been talking with Dan Monks at the town of Bennington about actually addressing this from a different, we're all doing different angles.
Right.
And one of the things we're going to talk about very briefly tonight is moving forward with starting to adopt ordinances that will allow us to actually go out and enforce things that aren't in place right now to
Right.
make things like this happen. So
Right.
I just want to mention there's other angles that this is being worked on, multiple.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great. And, you know, like I said, you know, there's a house on Hall Street that's also, it's beyond foreclosure, it's just falling apart. Everybody probably knows it was a little ranch, it's on the right-hand side, probably halfway down on Hall Street, and it's another one that needs to be demolished, you know? It's just nobody seems to own it anymore.
I think our first efforts are, for a multitude of reasons, but is to see if we can't get them
Exactly.
to sell it to somebody
Yes.
who is willing to put
Yes.
the money into it.
Right.
We did that with a house, the school board owned a house on Hall Street, and we were
Right.
able to, instead of demolish it, we were able to sell it to an individual for
Right.
virtually nothing, and he's fixed it up and he's living there.
Right.
That's a tax base. We could turn this into a parking lot and we got nothing.
Absolutely, yeah. And I asked this fellow from Rutland, I said, what is this house, is the foundation and is the roof, is this a viable building? And he said, in my opinion, being in this business for a decade, he said, I would say not. Because he felt that the foundation was very bad, and he said now with the tree that came down on it, I mean, I gave him the number of Steve Supreme, and I believe he came up and removed the tree for this.
It was funny, the day I was on the phone with them in
Right.
Texas was the day they were taking that tree out. When I was
Right.
complaining to them about the tree that they didn't know anything about,
Right.
but obviously they did because you
I
had
talked to them, and I said, here's Steve Supreme's
All
number.
right.
He's got all the machines you need, and you're not gonna get it done for cheaper. And the guy was so thankful. He was like, you know, I said, don't the neighbors talk to you? And he said, yes, all of the neighbors come when I'm over here working on the house. They want to know what's going on. And he said, all I can tell you is the company I work for is a bunch of pirates. And the insurance man said the same.
Yeah, no,
So, without.
I think they wear eye patches even.
Yeah, yeah. So, I want to just ask one other thing. So John and I purchased a picnic table for there were 5 picnic tables up at the Lake Perrin after Bob Howe and everybody did Alyssa Del Tufo did, and the community did that barn raising up there, and we bought another to make it 6. We had a friend make it, and the same guy that I had mentioned, I called and I said, you know, I know a guy that can make picnic tables for you for a very good price, and they had him build 5, and then we bought a 6.
Great.
So there's an even 6. And as I was walking through, that's not actually why I'm mentioning this, but as I was walking through the village the other day, it occurred to me that by the fire station, they used to have an outdoor, I don't know if it was a picnic table or just something right next to the waterfall there to the right side of the fire station, would they like a picnic table? Would the fire guys like a picnic table? If they would, that would be something that, you know, John and I would be happy to give the fire station.
Well, that's a great offer. I think the best thing is to ask them.
Okay, I mean, they probably have to chain it down somehow,
Yeah.
so it doesn't go walking.
Yeah.
Or end up
In the water. That's what used to happen to the old one, with the old metal pipe one would get thrown into the water.
Oh, okay, because I thought I remembered there being one there.
There was, yeah.
And it just, but I don't know how, if there's a legality around, what if the public was sitting there? Is that,
I don't think that's a great concern.
I just don't know. So that was my other question.
But if they don't really care that it's there or not, then it's not gonna be taken care of, so it'd be worth reaching out to them.
I know we moved it 100 times mowing and.
You don't like that?
Oh,
Nobody
it's the
ever
mowing.
said.
It's the mowing that you probably
Could be.
hate having one there. I thought about that too. I thought, you know, you probably don't really want a picnic table because of the mowing. So,
In the future, I think, and maybe we will be thinking about something like that over here in this pit park, and if we did that, we could actually pour a slab or something that the table sits on, so that there's no,
right. Right.
but that's all, I mean, those are all good thoughts. I know Norm doesn't like to move tables.
Yeah, no.
I don't blame him,
would
but-
be. You need 3 people. Yeah. Okay, well, it was just a question and I.
Well, still a very nice offer, by the way.
Yes, it's
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Still
No,
incredible.
I mean, the offer stands, it's just, you'll have to duke it out with, Norm will have to duke it out with the fire department.
Okay. Get those numbers to me, Martine, when you
I will.
can, and
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
do, somehow I feel like the citizen activist is more effective than,
Yeah,
you know.
I mean,
but ultimately, yes, we need to engage a lawyer as to what our options are.
right,
We may need to do some more things with Bennington in order to have that option.
right,
Otherwise, it may be an empty threat. I just don't know enough about,
right, yeah, yeah. Okay.
okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Treasurer's report. Or you know what, let's do, can we do this DRB stuff so you guys don't have to sit through this whole thing? Let's do that first. So just as a brief overview, we're in a bit of a pickle. We have some applications that have been on hold. One from a citizen in town and one from the college. And they're both kind of important. And we've just had an unfortunate series of events, and we have a zoning administrator who's taken ill and needs some time to deal with that. And so we have a few options, a few legal options that we can do. And the one that makes most sense, and the one that I got from our attorney, is that as the statute states, we need to appoint. I've been given permission by the zoning administrator to appoint an acting zoning administrator. That zoning administrator has to be recommended by the planning commission. Planning commission makes a recommendation to the trustees appoint the zoning administrator. The problem with the planning commission right now is kind of similar to the problem that the DRB has had, is that we are a 4-member board right now, and one of them is our zoning administrator. So we're a 3-member board, and one of them is me, and Marty.
Yeah.
Marty's on there, and Bob Howe. We either have to come up with a recommendation from a majority of the zoning, of the planning commission board, or, and I just got off talking to our attorney about this, there's an alternative that could deal with these few plans a little more readily. One would be for the trustees to cite, a situation that is just that is such that we can grant with the permission of the DRB and the understanding of the DRB of the problems we have, that we can go ahead and grant the permit. Not both of them, unfortunately, because one of them is a variance. The variance one has to be dealt with differently than the one at the college, which is, I don't really, see, you guys know better what the findings were by the zoning administrator.
I don't think there's really, I never thought there was much serious issues about the college. It was just, kind of a trivial thing that,
Right, it's very trivial.
yeah, that we certainly should be approved.
Right, it's just you guys can't get your quorums and we get a meeting warned and then it gets canceled, and then what probably in retrospect should have happened, and this is no fault of anybody's, but would have been to have held the meeting with or without the zoning administrator present. If you guys had your package, you could have done and acted. But the meeting was canceled, which then left you guys without an actionable process, and then it was rewarned, and then there wasn't a quorum in town. So I totally understand it, where we're at. Now, so that's one option, would be for us to declare and add into the minutes a resolution that he actually, gave me some language for, that would cite the clause about, but we have to demonstrate that the college initially applied for their permit more than 30 days ago. And that it was, and I don't know the date that the college,
The first warning was July 12th. And then Dan warned again for the 3rd of August. So
Right.
that's 22 days between those two warnings.
okay, but it's been actually 31 days today. Well, I know that for the other applicant, and the one that isn't gonna work for in this same,
Yeah.
it's been 31 days since the date of his submission.
So we need to have the application that shows what the date was prior to July 12th.
Right, and he said that and he can demonstrate, I think it was the 8th that he submitted it, which is, and today's the 8th.
Right, which would put us at 30
But-
or 31, right?
But the problem with him is that, so then I said to our attorney, since we can't find a zoning administrator to do the job, I mean, it's not, you gotta kinda know what you're doing. And it occurred to me that we know somebody who kinda knows what they're doing, and he's sitting right over here, and the question to him was, could we appoint you tonight as an acting interim zoning administrator, if you were willing to do so? And then fill your board, because you would then temporarily not be on the zoning, on the DRB.
Design and warning.
And he said, well, it was a bit of a stretch, but that but that we could do it citing just the fact that, but if put in the minutes that it's a matter of necessity to act immediately and that the trustees will seek a recommendation from the planning commission when we can get and they could turn around, we get them together, they may say, we want you to be the acting zoning administrator, then it's official appointment. But the clock is ticking on getting another warning in the paper, and for a variance, as I understand it, it's a 15-day warning.
Another warning for part of the two applications?
Yes.
So let me make sure I understand. We can cite an exception, we can cite this as an exception because of whatever extenuating circumstances, and if Marty agreed, appoint Marty temporary,
Appoint Dennis.
appoint Dennis, temporary zoning administrator? Is that the correct?
Acting, you could call him acting commissioner. There's some other language about,
But act, or interim, okay. And until, and then the third part of my question is, do we then end that until such a time as the planning committee can appoint a permanent?
yes.
Okay.
This would just get this one moving.
It's acting zoning administrator.
And I think because none of them, Dan had made it clear to me, in fact, that there was no issue. There is a variance required for that structure on Sage Street, but there's no issue because every property has to have a variance to do anything because their houses are right up against the highway or the road. So he had said, there's absolutely no problem and it would be granted, but we have to go through the right channels and get it done right. So my question is, if it's okay with you guys,
Yeah,
and okay with this board, we would ask for Dennis's, this is So they probably have in small towns, you can already find. Dennis's temporary resignation, and then we would appoint him the acting zoning administrator. And then I've got a name of a person who could fill his spot and would do it just for as long as,
On the DRB?
on the DRB. We also have another one to nominate tonight as well. You'll have a full board as of tonight, even if you step down.
That's my only, I guess my only concern is, Marty gave me the email, was that I really, I like being on the DRB. I'd like to stay on the DRB, so, and I don't have a problem with filling in permanently. I think that, with all the good luck and all the prayers that, Dan back is, superb.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah, to do that, I wouldn't mind filling in, I think maybe review it in 90 days, see what.
Yeah.
We got somebody coming along.
I think that would be great.
And is the understanding, like, so did I hear you correctly, so that the person you have that will fill the position will then resign and Dennis can be put back on the commission?
She wants to get involved, and my grand idea, she said I'll do either, is that we would appoint her to this as temporary, and then when you come back, she becomes our 5th member on our planning commission. Because we're short one on the planning as well.
So we should put in the language that,
Did you write this
No.
language all down?
I'm working on it. That's why I was asking those questions.
Oh, you weren't following?
Do we want to make a motion now for this?
Yes,
part of the language should be that when the zoning administrative issue is resolved, then the position is given back to Dennis Autumn. Like, we've got to put that language in. I'm not sure how to say it, but that is his position once that is, yeah.
there's not gonna be any power, there's not gonna be a power play here. It's not game or house of cards or anything. I think we'll get him back where he wants to be, but it really is a great thing that you're willing to do this.
Yeah, but the understanding has to be for the person taking his spot that they, and
That's
it
right.
sounds like that is the understanding, so that would be the only concern.
So we need to find out the date. If we want to do this in an alternate manner for the college, we need to know the date of their application. If that works, I have a resolution here that we can plug in the dates and say that this works and that we're acting as a trustee board to let that one go through for expediency. And then the other one will be,
Well, if I was to post one more, which would be the 9th, then the 24th would be 15 days.
okay. And what day of the week is that?
That is a
Friday.
Thursday. Normally we meet on a Wednesday, but that would be a Thursday.
So you could call a meeting for Thursday. I suspect Mr. Sullivan will be back by then.
I can't remember, I think the 20th he was back.
Unfortunately, I'll be in Cape Cod.
Okay,
24th.
well,
But you were appointed.
but we have,
Did you appoint 2 more?
yes, so we have, Tara Lowry was appointed already. We have a letter, John Lamson got a letter that was entered into the minutes and sent around to y'all, which is a letter asking to be on the board from Hugh Crowell. And so we need to nominate him. And I would entertain that motion, or
I'll make a motion to nominate Hugh Crowell for the position on the DRB.
DRB.
Yep.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Jim Sullivan's on vacation, but he'll return on August 20th.
Okay, so I think if we can make sure we get Hugh and Tara, and then the next nomination is,
Do you want to?
Appoint.
well, first of all, you're gonna resign, which I guess you just do.
And I'll put it in writing, but as of today.
And you could say, with the understanding that I'm gonna blah, 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 blah. So then, we can appoint Dennis McCarthy as an acting temporary zoning administrator, such that he can do the duties of the zoning administrator.
Okay. I have, let me ask you a question. I have possible language for that.
Okay.
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I don't have the due to extenuating circumstances or whatever
Right.
thing, but you're going to give me that. but basically a motion that effective upon his resignation from his current position on the DRB to appoint Dennis McCarthy as acting zoning administrator until such a time as the planning committee can appoint a permanent zoning administrator and not to exceed 90 days from today's date.
The planning commission recommends the trustees appoint, just to make that.
You could put, instead of, I mean, you could just put review in 90 days. I mean, who knows?
Right.
We might have one tomorrow,
Right.
but it may be 120. So I serve, you know, not serve a year, but I serve, you know,
Okay. You'll help
until we
us.
get a full-time and/or can't.
And we'll all be looking for somebody that we feel has the chops to do that. You know, there is, as I heard from Jason Gomich the other day, is that Shaftesbury is currently using
Shelley Stein.
Shelley Styles.
Excellent.
And, you know, they don't have to live in this community, and, because it's an employed position, and so that's something we could look into too, if she was interested.
Okay.
I just didn't have time to get in touch with her.
She's a good.
Yeah, she's good at,
Good student.
Now, can I get, I understand we've got two new DRB members that have been appointed. One's been appointed, one will be appointed today.
yep.
Whom I've never met, I don't have any contact information. If I contact Lori, can you pull together?
I think I can give you email contacts at least of all of them.
Okay, so I have an email problems too.
Yeah,
Well, Gail, if you give me that.
we'll go through Gail, okay. Phone numbers I'll have to dig up a little bit.
Yeah, I can get emails for some reason. RPI, screwed up.
I'm having the same trouble with Comcast, so I'm sure it's something I don't understand, but,
Okay.
so we'll get to that. And then the person that I would recommend to appoint to fill Dennis's spot temporarily is Charlotte Lyons, who lives on Sage Street. And, again, should be on either of these, and we'll start her here, and then, just so that, again, we have enough people to show up to that meeting on the 24th.
One of the things that occurred to me about new DRB members is I've got a copy of the zoning bylaws. Do we have more zoning bylaws and stuff? Each of the new DRB members can need, or can we have it printed?
We're gonna have to get some printed.
I went on the website, that's the latest one on it, so.
It does, on the fund site? So they could print it from there, and we could pay them to do so, even with, you know, pay for the printing, it's just that it's almost easier than, that's a good recommendation. Again, I normally don't do what you guys do, and so it's just trying to feel that out. So I'd entertain a nomination for Charlotte Lyons.
I'll make that nomination.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so you guys have a full board now. Now, if it turns out that we cannot determine that this 30-day date works for the college, then they're gonna fall under the exact same regulations and rules of what we just established for the other applicant, meaning that they too would have to wait 2 weeks.
What date are we, it's the date of the filing?
I think it's the date that you filed it,
Of
because
the
that's,
act of the,
no, of the permit request.
Would a check have been needed with that permit request?
Look at that file that you just put out on zoning.
Well, the
So this
reason
would
I
have been
ask
sent
is that I keep a copy of all of that stuff, and there is nothing that I've received since July 1st
Well, I assume they
for
wouldn't put,
Bennington College.
but they wouldn't put a check in until they were approved. Because I assume you don't,
Well,
oh, an application fee you're
Yeah, an
talking.
application fee.
That I don't know.
So, if that's the case.
I don't know
the
that there is an application fee. I think it's
I
just
don't
a
know.
permit that you pay once the permit is
Yeah,
granted.
I mean, the college
I
has
don't think
paid
there's an
some,
application
Okay.
fee. It's because the fees we charge are based
just need to
on
know the date, I mean, I can.
yeah, we just need to know
amount
that
of
date.
the
Okay.
project.
Because like this is, I usually get a check before it goes to Dan to get signed.
The Bennington College Scary Lane was done on 6/16, that was a check
Yes.
for $50.
If that's the one you're talking about, that would have been back then.
But I'm gonna put you in touch with Mr. McCarthy. You have an email, Dennis? What is it?
So it's DCM, Dennis Clifton Garden. Plumber, Plumber,
Yep,
at Hotmail.
Hotmail, okay. And then, to take it a little further, there's one more applicant that you've got received, Lori, right?
I do.
For that, we don't even know what it is, but that could be something that could also be warned.
Sure.
I'll get these.
Actually, you'll see the render,
And that letter that you have is the second, is a follow-up from something that had previously been sent in that Dan would have had the original copy of.
that was from Rendino.
Yes, this is the.
It's separate?
It's the other, it's the
Okay.
second one. Because I just sent you the follow-up letter from him. But the original one, this is not the original. Right, exactly.
We're gonna get this
Dan
all
would
worked.
have that original one, or someone would have that now.
Do we want to appoint a temporary, just so we don't have to deal with this for another 90 days? Or
Oh, I thought we did.
Oh, I did.
And if
We
we-
I guess we
discussed it.
haven't.
Yeah, and I actually wrote out the motion. Do you want to take a peek at it?
Well, you read it, and
Yeah, I didn't actually make the motion officially. Do we want to do that? I mean,
Yes.
Okay.
absolutely, we have to today, so
We have to, because they
we can
can
warn tomorrow.
yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to call them extenuating circumstances. Are we fine with that language under what Rob gave you?
Yep.
Okay.
And actually, I'll send you, maybe what we'll put in the record is a combination of this that refers to the Board of Trustees finds that so-and-so applied for a zoning permit on and a date, and due to the unfortunate circumstances, the application has not been acted on for more than 30 days.
Right.
Therefore, the board hereby finds that pursuant to 24, if you want to put that down, 24 VSA, section 4448, parentheses D, the zoning permit shall be deemed granted when the project strictly as described in the application is approved. I'll send this to you.
Okay. And do we want to appoint the temporary appointment as a separate motion?
As a separate motion.
Okay, can I make that motion
Yes.
now? And then I can just read off your phone if you want for the other one, if that's okay, or you can send it to
I'm
me.
gonna send it to you.
Okay, so, tell me if I got this right from what Rob said. So due to extenuating circumstances, I would like to make a motion to appoint Dennis McCarthy as acting zoning administrator, effective upon his resignation from the DRB and until such a time as the planning commission can recommend to the trustees, and the trustees can appoint a permanent zoning administrator. Such temporary appointment shall be reviewed 90 days from today's date.
And then Dennis, with the fees and stuff related, how do you guys deal with that when you warn something in the paper and stuff?
I pay the bill, they come to me.
They just pay, they'll send,
They come to
they'll
me
just
and
bill,
I-
they'll bill her if you just tell them.
And then I log them in under zoning in the accounts.
So before we get too far, I second that.
Yes,
Second that motion.
so they'll come to me anyway.
And I would ask for all those in favor of appointing temporarily Dennis McCarthy as acting zoning administrator.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, sir, and thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
And then we just need to find out, if it turns out that there's a
I'm gonna
problem.
warn it with everybody on it,
Yeah, why not, right?
and you still can act on it, just we won't have to act on that part.
Yep. I think that's the way to do it.
In case you find out we're actually going 29 days,
Yeah.
because you don't read it into that.
But I just know you guys are ready to rock and roll on that project. Did we do all that then? I sent you a copy of the resolution from Rob
Just now?
just now, and I would like that entered into the minutes as it is written. We'll plug in the applicant's name and the date when we get them.
And do we need to make that second motion? The other
This one.
Are we good with that, or do you want me to make that?
Well, I read it.
Okay, so I would like to make that very motion.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I guess I have two things.
Yes.
One is, where did Dan warn everything? Where did he place it? Did he place
Okay.
it here in the post office, or just the post office, or?
Does he do it in this window?
Right in that window, it's
There's a
corkboard
little,
right
that,
here. It pulls out, post
Okay.
office,
Yep.
in the banner.
and the
You put it
banner.
in the banner?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I have the contact of the person that we send that to. I can,
I think you have to do the banner, don't you?
yeah.
I don't know for that one. Okay. All right.
But you just tell them you're doing it for North Bennington, they'll bill Lori
Gotta
directly.
gotta get it published
Oh,
15 prior. So it's 15 days from the publication goes in.
So if you get it to them by 4 o'clock, it'll be in the following day.
Okay.
If you get it to them by 4 o'clock of any day. it'll be in the
so that pushes it to the 25th anyway.
And I've got, well, if you want to
Question
sit
is-
for a few minutes, I might be able to find her name.
The question is whether or not we could get around that by posting in another public location. Or at least get it, still put it in the banner, but have it up in 3 places.
Well, if I'm gonna post it tomorrow anyway, so I'll just run a copy over the minute, because I'll put it in the next day. I'll go to the 24th.
Okay.
And give this next week.
And thank you for helping out.
It's so great, Dennis, really appreciate it. I think we can move on from that issue.
Oh, the second question.
Yes.
Does the village belong to the VLCT?
Yes,
Their max center is, I call them along with them.
good.
You know, kind of all the answers that you're looking for, they'll do the whole thing.
No, they're great. And Norma got us into their insurance and everything, because they do a lot of good stuff. Okay, what's next?
A quick question about
Yeah.
that too. Do we know then that Dan is not acting zoning administrator, or does he need to actually?
No,
did he
so
send
what
something?
happened is I reached out to him and I thought for a week I hadn't heard back from him. Then I found a message on my phone from last Saturday where he said, yes, that seems to be the course of action that would be best. Exactly what we're doing. And that was a necessary part of this. We can't just appoint.
So is he taking a leave, or did he resign?
He's taking a leave.
Okay, so he is effectively on leave. We don't have two captains on the
Right.
ship. All right, good.
Although there is another thing that Rob pointed out, that we should ultimately have a policy where we appoint, where we can appoint a member of or the chair of the DRB or whatever to be the acting commissioner. They're not the zoning administration, but they can actually do the business of the zoning administrator in the absence. We just didn't have that in our, and that's something else.
So even if they're on vacation, like if they're away
Yes.
Yeah.
or.
Yeah.
I suspect they have to step aside and not be a voting member at that point, so you still gotta make sure you got your quorums, and we'll look into that after this smoke clears and get the language on that exactly right, so. Okay. Thank you both. And I will get to you, I'll start with emails of all the new members, to both of you guys.
And you've got my email address, I'm sure.
I should just do Gail, right?
Yeah, do that.
I'll just do Gail, yeah, and I've got that, because you've sent from,
Why would RPI?
well, that's a good question. It's not, yeah, I'd ask.
I'm staring at that.
Okay. What do you got for treasury report?
Well, I sent everything.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so you have the most up-to-date, year-to-date report from which I used that to derive. I also received the grant list today, so I used that to derive where the tax rates will be. We do not need to discuss that today. As Bill mentioned, he and I are gonna sit and discuss some questions that he has. But I just want to get this information to you so you have as long as possible to review it. I also sent you, what was it, 32 pages of detail, should you really be bored someday and want to look at all which is the detail of every single charge that's gone through for the last fiscal year. I then also sent you where the fund balances are, so you can see where those are. where we stand right now, including $160,000 that we have in cash, which less whatever we're approving today. So bearing in mind that I know we have some significant projects coming ahead that we may have to fund before we get any grants, we should be mindful of that. And then I also, just because there had
I'll make a motion that we come out of executive session.
I second it.
All's in favor?
Aye.
No action was taken. So, I would like, so Norm, give us your highway.
Okay, so we all know that we had a event around the 4th of July weekend. We've had umpteen meetings with the state, with some grant money. We've approached the homeowner. We had a good conversation with the homeowner to get a right-of-way. Our lawyer's working on some federal right-of-way paperwork that's like this thing, but that's what we need to do.